Welcome to BookBuzz Reviews and Summaries. Have you ever paused, even for a moment, and asked yourself, who am I really? Not the version you present at work, not the face you show your friends, not even the reflection that stares back at you in the mirror, but the core of you, the shifting, breathing, paradoxical masterpiece that is your personality. In a world that demands labels and quick answers, we are often encouraged to fit neatly into tidy boxes. Introvert or extrovert, thinker or feeler, dreamer or doer. Yet the truth is far more magnificent. You are not a static set of traits. You are a living mosaic, complex, dynamic, and full of untapped possibility. Every day, knowingly or not, you dance between who you are, who you need to be, and who you aspire to become. This dance is not a flaw to be corrected, but a gift to be understood, a path toward true well-being. Your ability to stretch beyond your comfort zone, to adapt without losing yourself, is one of the most astonishing feats of being human. Imagine for a moment that you could grasp the invisible forces shaping your thoughts, your actions, and your dreams. Imagine harnessing the hidden science of personality, not just to define yourself, but to design a richer, more authentic life. A life where well-being isn't a vague promise, but a practiced art. In this book, you are invited on a profound journey, one that challenges assumptions, honors your uniqueness, and unlocks the wisdom you already carry within. Me, myself, and us is not just a book about personality. It is a powerful reminder that the story of who you are is still being written, and the pen is firmly in your hand. Prepare to discover that you are far more extraordinary than any label, any test, or any theory could ever capture. Your adventure into the heart of yourself begins now. Part 1. The Hidden Architect of Our Lives. Personality Unmasked. Chapter 1. Who are you really? Brian Little wastes no time asking the big question. Who are you? Is it your biology, your upbringing, your choices? He explains that personality is the hidden architect of our lives. It designs how we behave, feel, and dream. But it's not just about your genetics or your upbringing. It's about the dynamic dance between who you are naturally and how you act in response to the world around you. He introduces a core idea. There are 3 layers to our identity. 1. Biogenic influences, our biological makeup. 2. Sociogenic influences, the cultural and societal expectations we adapt to. 3. Idiogenic influences, our personal projects and goals, the unique things that light us up. Takeaway: you're not trapped by your DNA, you're not doomed by your past. Your personal projects, your dreams, your missions can actually reshape who you are, and that's revolutionary. Chapter 2. The Big Five, the blueprint of you. Next, Brian Little dives into the famous Big Five personality traits, a model every psychology buff has heard of but few really understand. Openness: are you curious or cautious? Conscientiousness: are you organized or spontaneous? Extroversion: are you outgoing or reserved? Agreeableness: are you compassionate or competitive? Neuroticism: are you sensitive or resilient? He shows that these 5 dimensions are the scaffolding of your daily behavior, the reason you gravitate towards certain jobs, people, hobbies, and even why you get stressed or thrive in different environments. Example: an extrovert might feel energized by crowded networking events, while an introvert feels drained after 5 minutes. Same event, totally different experience because of personality. Key insight: knowing where you naturally land on these 5 traits isn't about putting yourself in a box. It's about recognizing your starting point and realizing you can act against type when needed, especially for the sake of your personal projects. Chapter 3. The Myth of the Fixed Self. Here's where Brian Little flips everything upside down. You are not a static, unchanging entity. He introduces the concept of free traits, temporary behaviors we adopt to achieve important goals. You might be a natural introvert who acts like an extrovert at work because your project matters to you, or a chaotic soul who pulls off hyperorganization to plan a wedding. Mind-blowing idea. These free trait behaviors can feel authentic because they serve a deeper, personal purpose. However, there's a warning. Living constantly against your natural traits, without recovery time, leads to depletion, stress, even burnout. Brian calls this the biogenic bias. When your true nature fights back because you're straying too far for too long, think about it. How often do you force yourself to fit a role that feels wrong? How much energy does it cost you? Lesson: acting against your nature is powerful, but only if you recharge properly and reconnect with your true self. Chapter 4: Personal Projects, the Compass of a Good Life. Finally, we land on the heart of Part 1. Personal projects are the secret drivers of well-being. Brian Little believes what we work toward, not just what we are, shapes our happiness. Personal projects can be anything: writing a novel, raising a family, training for a marathon, starting a business, healing from heartbreak. When a project is meaningful, it can transform you, stretching your personality in ways that expand your life, not shrink it. But if your projects clash with your deepest traits or feel imposed by others, they can become prisons. Key questions Little urges us to ask: are my personal projects authentic? Do they align with who I really am? Am I thriving because of them or shrinking? Takeaways from Part 1. Your personality isn't just who you are, it's who you can become. Free traits allow you to act out of character, but you need to recharge. Personal projects are the most important part of shaping a life worth living. Understanding yourself at all three layers, biogenic, sociogenic, idiogenic, is the starting point for true well-being. Part 2. The Secret Life of Contexts, How Environments Shape Who We Are. Chapter 5. Places that pump you up or drain you dry. Brian Little explains that every environment we enter has affordances, opportunities that invite certain behaviors and discourage others. Example: a vibrant cafe might afford easy conversation and creativity for an extrovert. The same cafe could be sensory overload and social exhaustion for an introvert. Little introduces a major theme: person-environment fit. How well your natural traits match the demands of your environment is critical for well-being. When the fit is good, you feel energized, alive, confident. When the fit is poor, you feel stressed, drained, like you're constantly swimming upstream. Big question for listeners: how often do you blame yourself for feeling miserable when maybe it's your context that's the real problem? Chapter 6. The Hidden Power of Personal Spaces. Now we dive even deeper. Not only do external environments matter, but your control over them matters even more. Brian Little discusses personal spaces, the small territories we carve out for ourselves: a cozy reading nook, a garage workshop, a private office, even a neatly curated desktop. Key idea: personal spaces are not just physical, they're psychological sanctuaries. They help you regulate stress, recharge your true personality, and prepare you to act out free traits. When necessary, science backs it up. People who have greater control over their personal spaces report higher well-being, better emotional regulation, and even enhanced creativity. Reflection moment: what spaces do you have that nourish your soul? Where do you feel most yourself? Chapter 7. Acting out, the good, the bad, and the necessary. In this chapter, Brian Little explores how social scripts, the unwritten rules of society, demand that we act out certain behaviors, sometimes against our natural traits. A shy professor becomes an animated lecturer. An impulsive person reins themselves in at formal meetings. A people pleaser learns to say no to protect their sanity, and it's not fake. When done in service of meaningful personal projects, acting out of character is not hypocrisy. It's a necessary adaptation. But here's the warning: constantly acting out with no recovery leads to self-alienation. We must allow ourselves restorative niches, times and spaces where we can drop the act and return to our natural selves. Simple but powerful advice: find your restorative niche, protect it fiercely. Don't apologize for needing it. Think about it. What small daily habits could become your restorative niche? A quiet walk alone, 5 minutes journaling, 15 minutes zoning out with your favorite playlist. Chapter 8. Personality in the Wild, How We Adapt to Our Roles. Finally, Brian Little shows that many of our behaviors aren't dictated solely by traits, they are shaped by our roles. Parent mode, leader mode, friend mode, stranger mode. Each role pulls different behaviors out of us, And often, we willingly accept that transformation because it serves our personal projects. Remember those from part 1. But not all roles are freely chosen. Sometimes, society or circumstance shoves us into a role that feels alien, and staying too long in those misfitting roles can erode our well-being. Key insight: the healthiest people are not those who stubbornly cling to their default traits. They are the ones who adapt strategically, knowing when to act out and when to retreat back to themselves. Takeaways from part 2. Environment matters as much as personality, and bad environments can strangle your natural strengths. Personal spaces are essential for psychological well-being. Acting out of character is not fake if it supports your authentic goals. Restorative niches are non-negotiable if you want to survive and thrive. Roles shape behavior, but choosing roles wisely is key to a satisfying life. Part 3. The deep self, identity, authenticity, and the stories we tell ourselves. Chapter 9. The core projects of our lives. Brian Little introduces a profound idea. At the center of every person is a small handful of core personal projects, missions so vital that they define your identity. Being a good parent, mastering your craft, changing the world, finding true love, overcoming a personal hardship. Important. Core projects aren't just hobbies, they are the meaning makers of our lives, and sometimes we are willing to act totally out of character, even suffer, in service of these sacred missions. Key reflection for listeners: if someone looked at your life from the outside, what would they guess is your core project? And even deeper, does it match the one you feel inside? Chapter 10. The myth of the single self. In popular culture, we worship the idea of being true to yourself, but Brian Little challenges us to think bigger. You don't have one self, you have many selves, layered, shifting, evolving, each tied to different projects and relationships. The healthiest people, they don't cling to some rigid, unchanging definition of who I am. Instead, they embrace complexity, accept contradictions, allow themselves to grow. Beautiful idea. Authenticity isn't about stubbornly being the same person in every situation. It's about acting in ways that are congruent with your core projects, even if that sometimes means surprising yourself. Question to ponder: when was the last time you allowed yourself to evolve without guilt? Chapter 11. Acting out and burning out. This chapter serves as a reality check. Acting out of character for the sake of our core projects can be noble, but it can also be exhausting if we don't balance it carefully. Brian Little warns about the dangers of protracted free trait behavior. Constantly faking extroversion in an overstimulating job, relentlessly bottling anger in a toxic relationship, always pretending enthusiasm in a draining leadership role. Result: burnout, depression, even identity crises. Antidote: cultivate your restorative niches, honor your core projects, regularly check in. Am I adapting for my dreams or betraying them? Powerful reminder: you can't pour from an empty cup, no matter how noble your goals. Chapter 12. The stories we live by. Finally, Little explores how the narratives we tell ourselves about our lives become the architecture of our identity. Are you the survivor, the underdog, the healer, the rebel? The stories we cling to can either empower us to live intentionally or imprison us in patterns of regret, self-doubt, or fear. Transformative insight: you can edit your story. You can choose a new narrative that aligns with your evolving self and core projects. Brian Little asks, what story would you want told about you 100 years from now? And maybe even more crucially, are you living that story right now? Takeaways from part 3. Your core personal projects shape your true identity more than any personality trait. You have many selves, and that's not weakness, it's strength. Acting out of character is heroic when it serves your dreams, but dangerous if it becomes chronic and draining. Your personal narrative is powerful, and it's never too late to rewrite it. Part 4. Becoming ourselves, the art of well-being in a world that never stops changing. Chapter 13. Relationships, where personality meets purpose. Brian Little starts by highlighting something crucial. Personality doesn't just live inside us, it lives between us. Relationships are the arenas where our personal projects, traits, and free trait behaviors either flourish or wither. Key insight: the people closest to us can either be project supporters or project saboteurs. Healthy relationships are ones where your most vital personal projects are recognized, respected, and nurtured, even if they don't fully understand them. For example, a partner who encourages your creative dreams, even if they don't get them. A friend who understands when you need time alone to recharge. Listener reflection: who in your life truly supports your most sacred personal projects? And tough question: who subtly undermines them? Chapter 14: Work and the Authentic Self. Next, Little turns to one of the biggest arenas of modern life, the workplace. Many people feel trapped in jobs where their traits are mismatched with the demands of their roles. Or worse, they feel forced to abandon their core projects in favor of chasing status or security. Brian Little's advice: find or create work that aligns with your core personal projects whenever possible. Even if you can't change your job immediately, you can craft your role, finding small ways to make your work more meaningful and authentic. This concept is sometimes called job crafting, and it's one of the most powerful tools for protecting your well-being in tough environments. Questions for listeners: where at work do you feel most yourself? What small changes could you make to move closer to your core projects every day? Chapter 15: The Ethics of Acting Out. This chapter offers a thoughtful warning. While adapting and acting out of character can help you thrive, it also comes with ethical responsibilities. Example: a naturally aggressive person learning to be more gentle is admirable, but using adaptation as a way to manipulate, deceive, or control others, that's betrayal, not growth. Little's core message: adaptation should always be in service of authentic projects and mutual respect, not selfish advantage. Bottom line: be flexible, but be honorable. Chapter 16: Well-being, a life of coherence, connection, and contribution. Finally, Brian Little wraps it all up beautifully. True well-being isn't just about being yourself. It's about living a life where your core projects are honored and pursued, your context support, not stifle you, your multiple selves are embraced, not suppressed, your stories empower you, your relationships nurture your growth, your adaptations reflect your highest values. He calls this the life of coherence, connection, and contribution. Listener moment. Pause and ask yourself, where in your life do you already have coherence, connection, and contribution? And where might you begin building them, even in small steps? Most important of all, you are not a finished product. You are an ongoing project, and the beauty is, you are the project manager. Final takeaways from Part 4. Your well-being depends not just on who you are, but on how you live out who you are. Healthy relationships recognize and nourish your personal projects. Work should, as much as possible, align with your authentic self. Adaptation must be guided by ethics, not opportunism. The most fulfilling life balances coherence, connection, and contribution. Read the book to learn more. Thanks for listening to Book Buzz reviews and summaries.